Back again on Speed Street after a much-needed week off on the track. Conor being out of town, drivers being out of town, hopefully cooling down after a wild weekend in Nashville. It's race week once again. This is Speed Street. I'm Joey Molinaro. Thanks for being with us. And as always, with me, my pal, the co-host, the driver of the number 20 Bit Now ride in the NTT IndyCar Series, Conor Daly. What's up, man? How was your weekend off?
It's much needed. I keep telling people I have not actually had like a weekend off since like April, I think, because we obviously had some race weekends that were off IndyCar wise, but then I was doing the commentary for SRX, so just constantly on the road. And I mean, which is great. Like, I love traveling, love going to racetracks. But sometimes you just need to recharge the old batteries. And, and F1's on their summer break right now. If you follow any of those guys on Instagram, they're all on giant yachts and they're all in beach properties. So F1 clearly, they don't do things wrong. And I even saw a Formula One driver as well out in Los Angeles on my weekend off. So great time. Just nice to have a weekend off. I mean, it was only one weekend, but it felt like a full-on vacation.
Yeah, man. I know everybody follows you, but you were hopping around LA. You were living the glamour life. You're on the beach. You were in McLaren rides, causing more ruckus and rumors to swell about. I mean, you were hanging out with, who'd you hang out with? Daniel Ricciardo?
Yes. Yeah. It was funny because I've known Daniel a long time, and I just happened to shoot him a message because I know he has a place in Southern California. Daniel loves America, and I know he has a lot of friends stateside as well. And it's if you've made a solid living like young Mr. Daniel has, you could live a pretty solid life there in Southern California. So yeah, really good to catch up with Daniel. The funny part about seeing Daniel, I have not actually seen any of my F1 friends since Drive to Survive has come out. So like that, because that obviously came out right before the whole pandemic thing. And I haven't been to a Formula One race since pre-COVID. And so it was a really interesting experience because in America, Formula One drivers always went to America because they weren't recognized by anyone. You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like they could do whatever they wanted. They could have a nice relaxed vacation because Formula One, for all intents and purposes, was not popular in the States. And after being with Daniel a little bit it was like a fairly popular spot in Santa Monica, California, where we were hanging out, this bar. Everyone's looking at him. Like, I mean, it's literally like we were in this little area, obviously this little like table area with a little fenced off area there. It felt very, very special. Wow. Very exciting. But like, it's incredible to see. It was even people, there were people in Mercedes F1 hats, like coming up and be like, "Hey man, like, can I get a picture with you?" And all this stuff. And it was just really interesting. And I kind of talked to a couple of his guys, because I was like, look, I think right now, like I think I mentioned it on this show before. I think F1 drivers are the most famous athletes, most famous people on the planet right now, because not only is it a world championship, right? So it's worldly renowned, worldly recognized. Now they've got the American market, but they're also movie stars. They're on a massively popular Netflix show. So you take like wild popular sport, athletics, and movie stars, and they're now intertwined. And it was fascinating to see. But Daniel was awesome. Good to talk to him. Obviously, there's a lot of drama in his world right now on the team, which I will not get into the details.
But like, just a general, I mean, is his vibe, screw it? Is it, what the hell's going on? Is it, we're kind of playing it by ear? What's the general sense from him?
I mean, honestly, what I love about Daniel is that he always loves life. Like, he's loving life. He's enjoying life. And what was really cool, actually, and this, I think, is really cool as an IndyCar person. But one of the guys that he was with who works for him, Blake was his name, great guy. And Blake was kind of telling a few folks there, like about like what I do, like IndyCar. And they were like, oh, IndyCar, those guys have the real balls. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, it was like, that's really like, I really respect that. Thank you. And like everyone knew kind of, what Formula One is, but not obviously a lot of people were like, oh, IndyCar. Okay. Like what is that? You know what I mean? Which is our constant problem. But it is really cool to see, to hear kind of the respect that group had, for IndyCar and has for IndyCar. And like, even Daniel speaking to him, he's like, man, I don't know. I just don't know if I could do the oval. I just don't know if I could do Indy. Like, I just was
going to say, did you give him shit for saying that he not interested in the 500?
No, because we talked about it, and I told him, I said, look, man, the ovals are the most fun part. Like, the cars are safe, like you'll be fine, and it's just a different, it's just a different outlook on things, right? And I got to respect everyone in that little group there, because there was a lot of good talk about IndyCar, about the fact that we can race really well, our racing's way better. Like, there was a lot of respect out on the streets, which is great, because sometimes we don't hear that from the Formula One community, certainly in the public articles and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it was cool to see. Obviously, I didn't want to dive too deep into the, hey man, like I wasn't gonna be like, so where are you driving next year? Like, what you do?
Yeah. See, it's good that I wasn't out there, because I would put my Howard Stern hat on, and I just would have been, hey, come on, tell me, where are you going? What's the deal? How badly do you hate these McLaren people right now? Like, I would have dove.
See, I want to keep my friendship, so we keep all those chats under the rug there. It's all good. But Daniel's enjoying life. Good to see a Formula One driver basically look like a superstar on the West Coast. It was very, very cool. It was wild to see kind of the reaction, just seeing the people like staring at Daniel, like that's a Formula One driver. You know what I mean? I was like, that's cool. Like, because in reality, racing drivers being cool is a good thing, hopefully for everyone. But it was funny, man. It was a good time. Good to see him. And I really it was random that I happened to also be at a McLaren dealer, like where they had this McLaren that was designed specifically for him. And I literally happened to be wearing his t-shirt at the same time as well. It was not intended at all, but it ended up being quite a humorous run onto the internet.
Yeah. I just checked. He's got 7.3 million followers on Instagram. So yeah, he's, pretty well known.
He's doing well.
Yeah, he's doing all right. That's for sure. That's good, man. That sounds like a hell of a time. I'm glad you got away for a little bit. That's nice. That's I dove into the golf world, man. I'm a golfer.
I'm Billy Zalatoris.
Yeah, I didn't. No, I'm not even talking about watching. Like, I got out on the course. I played 18. I did it with the family.
Wow.
I got one par. I parred one hole.
Okay.
So I felt really freaking good about that. It was granted, it was a par 3. All right. I'm not going to BS with everybody. It was only a par 3, but I took the 7 iron or whatever you call it, and I smacked that thing right onto the green about 12 feet away from the hole. It was close to a birdie putt, missed just by a few feet, but hit the par. So I'm feeling good, man. I'm ready to get on the course. I'm already looking at the Brickyard, crossing, see about getting out there. It looks fun. It's I really held out for a long, long time. I refused. I was like, there's enough golf nuts in the world. Every guy now likes to go out there and be a freaking douche and be a golfer. I'm not going to do it. And then finally my family was like, no, let's go. You got us into racing. We want to get you into golf. I was like, all right, fine. And
golf was great.
There. I had a great time, man. It was awesome. Had a really, really great time. I'm going again this weekend, so I'm in.
Has the Live Tour reached out with a 9-figure contract yet? Have they contacted your people?
They have not contacted my people with a 9-figure deal. They contacted them with about a 4-figure deal to do a sketch vid. No, I'm just kidding. I have not heard about that. So, but I am in the golf world, man. Scotty Matt gave me a shout out because I got the Jordan golf shoes, courtesy of Anthony Calhoun and his golf outing. So I'm putting them to good use, man. I'm ready to rock.
So I feel like that goes hand in hand with being an impending father. I feel like golf, big dad's game. It's a big dad's game. I mean, also young athletes, but big dad's game. You always see. I mean, we see Tiger and his son out there now just slapping balls. It's a great sport. I love golf. I'm getting into golf. My dad played a little bit of golf too. My grandfather on my dad's side, my cousin Barry plays golf for the Cayman Islands. So we're big golf people.
Didn't you Irish folk? You invented golf, didn't you? GOF.
Well, what happened is all the folks in Ireland, when they were consuming ales and getting absolutely hammered, they just wanted to hit stuff with sticks. And so that's the history of golf. They got a bunch of sticks and started slapping balls around. Turns out you had to put balls in holes as well eventually. And so they found golf. That's the history of golf.
Got it. Yeah. No, it sounds like it makes sense, man. Nothing better than having a few brews and smacking balls, dude. That's just what we do. So
Joey, I have a quick question for you. Have you
up?
ever, this might change the subject, and this is, again, we're weekend off subject guys right now. I went to a Dave & Buster's over the weekend, and my lady is like a professional dancer. And so like I tried Dance Revolution at this place up against a pro. And if you ever want to be embarrassed on a very high level, that is what you do. I've been asked sometimes, what's your most embarrassing moment in your life? Well, let me tell you, it's DDR at a public place up against a professional lady dancer. And that is, I would like you to know that's a new level of embarrassment for me now in my life.
See, now a few things. Did Lady Friend capture a video? Is there video of this out there? We need to see it. That's number one.
No, because we were head to head. So we had the two dance. Yeah, boom, head to head action.
So you lucked out there. She couldn't step to the side and put you on blast on the internet. Okay. Number two.
Yeah.
I was not a big Dance Revolution guy, but when the Wii came out, the Nintendo Wii, and you do the Just Dance games that you get on Christmas, and you play like a week and a half of your last part of Christmas break, and then you never touch it again until the next one came out next Christmas, I crushed at that game. I was very good. Womanizer by Britney Spears all day.
You know what's also doubly embarrassing about that game as well in a public arcade is that when you swipe your little card to play it, the volume turns up by 1,000. And so now everyone in the entire arcade can now hear that there are two folks battling it out on the Dance Revolution stage. And I was not prepared for the volume upgrade. I was not prepared to basically have a bunch of kids probably sending Snapchats to their friends about a diabetic clown on a dance machine. And that's kind of what I experienced over the weekend. But, we also did feel better about ourselves by getting on the Mario Kart racing machine and the Cruising USA. Obviously, we had to get Cruising USA in there as well. And that definitely brought the spirits back a little bit.
You evened it out. That's a great call by you. We got a lot of questions. We did audience questions this week, coming off a weekend off. We'll get to them a little bit, but there was one about Mario Kart, so I'm looking forward to get to that. But yeah, man, I golfed. I just had a doctor's appointment with the wife. We are on absolute baby watch. I mean, this baby is ready to roll. He's a big boy. He's already 7 pounds, 10 ounces. Wow. She's still got just a little bit of time, but like he's tracking to be big. So dad life could be coming upon me really at any time. Very, very excited about that. So that's
already in there getting yoked. He's in there getting all jacked up.
I don't know about chunk would probably be a better term than yoked, but I'm proud of him either way. He's I'm very, very excited. Let's see. Before we get into, we had a great interview this week on the show with your pal, Chris Lake. Fantastic musical artist, DJ. Again, a massive, as they would say, a massive race fan, Formula One fan, and we kind of dove into the differences between that, and really, really great conversation. But not only was this weekend an off weekend, it was kind of the start of the football season, my man. Did you get to catch any gridiron, any pigskin flying around out there?
Well, obviously, since it's football, I can talk about sports gambling for that sport. Definitely took a little week one parlay because I believed in the Lions, and turns out they lost. But it was, I love football. I'm heavily into Hard Knocks. Just had episode 2 last night. I
No
love.
spoilers. I haven't seen episode 2 yet.
Okay, I just love Dan Campbell. Love Coach Dan. I got to meet him at the Detroit race a couple years ago when he put he put his racing helmet on in a press conference. I literally went up and called him Motor City Dan Campbell as well. I was like, I was just so excited to meet him. And yeah, I think that show, like, obviously the first season was like really cool. The second season, I think, was really cool. And then I feel like it died down a little bit, but now I think it's right back. Like I enjoyed seeing everything that's going on behind the scenes a little bit. But yeah, I can't wait for football season. I'm just excited that it's here. I'm a Colts fan and a Bengals fan. For those that don't know, I'm a Colts man, obviously, because Indiana. But when I was a child, I cheered for the underdogs. I was a big underdog story guy. And the Bengals won no games when I was a child. So I was like, this is my team.
As a Steelers fan, I remember well. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are my two teams. But now I feel like I want the Detroit Lions to be successful. I don't know why, but I'm like, you know what? I feel an emotional connection to this team now. I feel like Dan is inspiring. I feel like when that guy on episode 1 started crying after his hype up speech, I was like, this is a team. But who knows? They might lose 17 games.
That scene was cool, but I felt for all the other guys with their arms up the whole time. I mean, that guy, dude, those guys had their shoulders are like, all right, man, this is very inspirational, but can we get the hell out of here? What are we doing? It was all for the camera. That's kind of what I was thinking, but cool scene nonetheless. I do have real quick, Ben, who's your football team?
Vikings. So stay away from, NFC North there, Mr. Daly.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I am a big Randy Moss fan. So I have every Randy Moss jersey that he has ever played for. Every team that he's ever played for, I have every Randy Moss jersey that has existed. So I was a big Vikings guy at one point.
I respect that. Purple and gold, baby. Let's go.
How we feeling about old Skull, Ben? We feeling good?
I don't know. This is, for me, I think this is Kirk Cousins' year to all right, man, you got the coach. You got a new offensive line's looking better.
Justin
Jefferson's gonna pop off. Dalvin Cook's probably gonna stay healthy. We have 4 really good backup running backs. The preseason went great for them, so I'm just like, all right, just put it together. We got it. You don't got Mike Zimmerman throwing you across the sideline. Come on now.
My guy Colin Cowherd, he's really high in the Vikings. He hasn't won 13 games this year. It's his big take. I don't know.
And he's never been a Kirk guy too.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what? This doesn't add up. But funny story about Dan Campbell. So I think, we were doing the show, Conor, when I was doing, when I went down to the Senior Bowl and I hosted that Q&A or kind of moderated that, whatever it was, with Dan Campbell and Robert Saleh, the head coach of the New York Jets, down at the Senior Bowl. And so we're up there on stage and I was giving Dan Campbell a hard time on the mic. And I was like, you're a huge man. And he was kind of laughed. I was like, you look like a guy who just tossed bales of hay when you're growing up for a workout. And he really did. That's what he actually did down in Texas. He was like, no, that's really what I was like, you're lying. He said, no, that we would toss hay. And that was one of our workouts. And that was how we would do our work on the farm. I was like, cornbread, farm fed right there, brother.
And the guy still looks like he could wrestle not only one bear, but 2 bears at the same time. It's incredible.
And all of the Chicago Bears at the same time. So.
Yeah, well, they're gonna win no games, obviously, so that'll be fine. Actually, Chicago, great sports city, and I've been listening. I do listen a lot to Pardon My Take, and a poor Big Cat. I feel I love following him and seeing his pain, following
his
the
Bears pain.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Depression ban anytime they get going.
I do feel bad for those guys because PFT is a Washington commies fan, and he's the Bears, so they're just football fans. That is how it is. But yeah, football's here, and for newcomers to the show, we want to touch on a lot of stuff. Obviously, motorsport, but when we got time, we're gonna dive into some football, dive into college football, a little bit everything. So now that we know that Ben's a Vikings guy, Conor knows where his loyalties lie. You know that I'm a diehard Steelers fan, so it'd be fun to add on, especially as I mean, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. We only have 3 races left, man. I mean, it's coming to a close in 2022. So we got to talk about something.
Yeah, and we've got, and in the racing scene, we did have a weekend off. There were a few cars that tested at Gateway. I was a little jealous, but there are a few cars tested there. I heard from secondhand sources / Kyle Kirkwood that the coin cars were really fast. He said David Malukas and Takuma, I guess, were quite quick, or David in particular was quite quick, which is not surprising. They've been very strong all year.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it'll be an interesting weekend. And obviously Kevin Harvick's on a roll in the NASCAR scene. I didn't get to watch race. I was on vacation. I was staying away from everything on the internet and everything in general because I was enjoying a vacation. But yeah, we have, as we mentioned earlier, an incredible interview with Chris Lake, which I think we can get to. I have been a friend of Chris's for several years now. He's an incredibly talented person. For those of I'm sure there's a lot of people who are listening to this show right now who will have no idea who he is, but there's also a group that will. And there's a lot of people, a lot of young folks here in Indy, I know, that are huge Chris Lake fans. Chris Lake's played the Snake Pit, as we'll talk about at the Indy 500. But yeah, really excited to get into that interview.
Let's do it.
All right, we have an incredible guest that we mentioned this week, a friend of mine, a friend of the motor racing world now, a longtime musical legend, Chris Lake. We appreciate you being here. Thank you, my friend. How are you doing today?
Yeah, great. Thanks. How are you?
Excellent. I'm good. I want to get right into this because for those who definitely have followed me for at least the last few years since the whole COVID thing has kicked off, you might have seen Chris Lake in a very, very prestigious racing league on the internet called the LCQ League. And I think this is definitely where Chris and I got to know each other more. We'll talk about the music stuff later, but Chris, the LCQ League was put together and basically just a bunch of bored people looking to go racing on the internet. What was your experience with us in the LCQ League, first of all?
Well, I felt like I was thrown into the fire with that one because I was massively underqualified. The only thing that really qualified me was I like racing and I had a sim. that was my first COVID purchase, when I actually didn't even realize that sims existed until I don't actually. What's his name? Jimmy Broadbent, was that the guy?
Yeah.
He's the
pro gamer.
I came across one of his streams and I was like, are you kidding? I can race on with a computer with feedback and everything. I thought it was the best thing, so I went and bought the gear, and then I think I ended up asking you about equipment and stuff like that, and then that coincided with the whole. You were setting up the LCQ League, and you invited me in, and I thought it was the best thing ever because, well, it was absolutely brilliant, but I was terrible.
So I disagree. I think Chris was our most improved player for sure, and most improved, and he was also included in a group chat, right? So the to get this thing going, to get the races going every weekend, we would have like a text chain, right? And so to read the names off in this text chain, because first of all, I don't even know if you know actually who all the names are in the group text. Yeah,
I figured it out over the years. I'm like, okay, exactly. That's that one.
So in the LCQ League group chat, we have Alex Rossi, obviously Indy 500 champion. We have James Hinchcliffe, IndyCar driver, we obviously know. Tony Kanaan, Indy 500 champion. We have Landon Castle, NASCAR driver, of course. We have Scott Speed, obviously America's Formula One driver, American Formula One hero. Ed Carpenter, my boss. Parker Klingerman, another NASCAR driver. Chris Lake, obviously musical legend. Chad Reed, two-wheeled legend. Travis Pastrana, two-wheeled legend. Ricky Carmichael, and of course Bilko, everyone's favorite humor and two-wheel legend as well. So like pretty hilarious list and like wildly random list of absolute legends. And then all of a sudden now we're randomly in a group chat every now and then. Have you silenced that group chat yet?
No, it's fun. I there's definitely some fun things that are mentioned in that chat. I admittedly only knew you.
Yeah.
Any of those people, because I'm European. I've lived here for 10 years now, but I can't say in that 10 years I've really kind of like closely followed any of the motorsport that's happening stateside. I should do, but the other downside for me is my busy time and my life are the weekends when Americans would normally enjoy what's going on Fox or ESPN, and I'm on a plane, so it's just not. It doesn't work out good for me at all. I don't get to enjoy it. So the only thing that I really crowbar into my life, actually kind of ruins my life in a way, is watching Formula One every weekend, and my sleeping patterns are horrendous because of it. Oh, great! I just finished at the club at 3 a.m. I'm getting up at 5 a.m. to watch the Sunday race in Hungary. Great.
That's some real fandom right there, though, Chris. I got to tip my cap to you. Now, with this league here that you were in with all these, motorsport legends, and you're the only one that's not from that background, I think it's fair now that you have Conor come out and you throw him into the fire on the ones and twos.
Have him DJ
in front of a crowd and make him DJ.
Yeah. I mean,
nope, I'm out.
I'm just I'm trying to it could be interesting.
It could
maybe
be.
like what do you do this minutes just to make him sweat?
Yeah, well, it feels like the most appropriate one would be the snake pit.
Oh yeah. Chris obviously has played the snake pit. He has been to the Indy 500. That honestly, I got to see a little bit of you playing in the snake pit. It happened to time it just right. What was your impression of the Indy 500? Like, what?
Well, I didn't get to enjoy the race. I had to fly in. I remember.
But even still, just like just being
crazy.
Anything there.
Crazy. I mean, like the setup is unbelievable. I just can't. It's testament to Americans' attitude towards partying, because that is a lot of people out for 8 a.m. Even earlier, like 6 a.m. like starting that was mad. That was absolutely mad. Beer really does fuel this country.
Oh yes, there's a lot of that. And the Indy 500 might be one of the days in our year where the most beer is consumed at one point, and I love it. I love seeing it out there.
Yeah, that was my perception too. I felt like I saw that.
Now, was that being such a big Formula One guy when you're playing the snake pit? Obviously what's going on that morning at that time is Monaco. So were you tough missing out on that? You had to go back and catch the replay, or was the snake pit worth it? Yeah, just
go back and watch it. Listen, honestly, if there's any race that I'm down to miss, it's the Monaco Grand Prix. That's boring. It's prestigious, but it's so boring. It's like anyway, that's my view on it.
So you mentioned you're a Formula One guy, right? And I know you're a big Formula One guy. What kind of got you into that? Like, obviously, as you said, you're busy on the weekends, which of course, we got things to do. But like, what kind of interested you in Formula One? I always find it interesting, just speaking to people about like what kind of got them into it in the first place, and also who do you support?
Yeah. I just started watching it as a kid. My father used to watch it. He still watches it now. But it used to be on Sundays on TV. That was, we had 4 channels when I was growing up in the UK, and it was on the BBC every Sunday. Murray Walker was the Murray Walker was the commentator, and I grew up idolizing Nigel Mansell. So we actually share a birthday, not the same year, obviously, but I remember actually I think my mother sent a letter to him saying that I was a massive fan of Nigel Mansell, and I got a signed photo sent back, but we lost it years ago in like a big when we moved countries. But I followed all of that, and I was watching back in the Senna days and everything, and then I definitely I didn't watch it quite as avidly in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then really honestly, the thing that really ramped up my particular interest for it was Lewis Hamilton. I'm a massive Lewis Hamilton stan.
All right.
Because obviously we've had some great British drivers, but I loved what Lewis was doing and what he represented and what he brought to the sport, and it was becoming quickly evident that I was watching a Brit make history, and that I found unmissable. I was like, I have to watch this. I have to watch this, and that's why I want to watch it live. I enjoy what he's done overall for the sport. So there we go Lewis Hamilton.
Now, we talk about a lot on this show, Chris, and it's this wave that's coming over into America, with the Drive to Survive series. So F1 fandom is just blowing up, going through the roof, right? As a OG F1 fan, your whole life, you grew up with it. You just told us, is there a little bit of you that's like, all right, now you guys are just now getting into this. You're not the real true fans. Are you like, bring them all? Let's make F1 what it is.
Yeah. Okay, I say bring it on. It's just like it's the same with music. You kind of have like these, there's music and sounds that like you'd consider entry level, all right, and it's the things that draw people. It's the things that draw people into the scene overall. But it might not be the best stuff that they're actually listening to. And it's like, I feel like what we're probably looking at is, okay, the Drive to Survive, it kind of draws people in via a dramatized version of what the sport is. But the most important thing is that it draws them in. And then you might have a conversation with someone that's just watched 3 seasons of Drive to Survive, and then and you're having a conversation, you're realizing this is quite an empty conversation about the sport. But give them a couple of years, once they've actually watched a lot of the races as a result, of having seen the series, they'll be proper fans. It's like that's how I anticipate it'll work. And I do think it's good for the sport. It's good, it's nice seeing America having, it actually feels like Formula One's becoming, it feels like it's becoming a major thing out here now.
Yeah.
I never used to say that.
No, I mean, I agree. As someone who after living in Europe, right? Well, I lived over there for 4 years, lived in the UK, and like, you see how much it means to everyone over there. And the way it's changed in America, like obviously I was a kid, my dad being a Formula One driver, like we watched Formula One, every morning. So like that was part of my life, but it truly has changed. And like, you live in California now, obviously. And there's like, I see all these California, people like setting up big events to watch the races, or, whether it's like a cars and coffee type thing, and you can watch the race with other people. One. Yeah, exactly. I know you've been to one, and it's like, I do love that, but I also think like, we almost had you out at the Long Beach IndyCar race this year as well. And I think, again, hopefully a rising tide raises all ships, right? Like we love, obviously love IndyCar racing. I think there's a lot that, Americans can get out of that too. Is there the rising tide raising all ships? Like, do you think that helps us in IndyCar as well? Like, I'm just curious as like someone who, because we want you to come to more IndyCar races as well. We want people to be more interested in that as well.
No, 100%. I think it's I like seeing these videos of kind of like the show the comparisons of the technology and the comparing the formulas. I think those things are really important for people to understand. It's like some of like obviously some of the tracks you're doing like the ovals, and they're definitely massively misunderstood by Europeans. Or you're just going around in a circle and not obviously understanding the nuance of how unbelievably on a knife edge you guys are with regards to success or failure or kissing the wall.
Yeah, there's plenty of that.
Yeah.
There's plenty of that.
I mean, Now, look, there's a lot of F1 drivers that, hey, they want to knock on ovals, but they're pretty hesitant to come over and run the Indy 500 there.
100%. But that was actually one of the things I always thought was amazing about that I really enjoyed about Nigel Mansell, because he came over and did exactly that. So he won, didn't he?
No, so my friend Deepu, he still thinks that Nigel Mansell should have won 1 year, but because he came over and did it, and he was a European, that there was some conspiracy going on, and they didn't let Nigel Mansell win. But I do believe that Nigel Mansell should have won for sure. I think Nigel Mansell is an incredibly talented driver, without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, that was actually one of the things. Honestly, talking about inspirational moments, that like Nigel, the story about Nigel Mansell really inspired me, and my appetite for risk, because the story about Nigel Mansell was he literally gambled everything along with his family. He remortgaged his house twice and everything to get him the car and the technology that propelled him into Formula One. He literally had everything on the line. And I didn't hear loads of stories like that growing up. That was the story that I heard, and just made me warm to him, and then obviously what he ended up achieving in the sport, and I guess kind of inspired my appetite for risk and trying to pursue what I've done in my career, which doesn't risk death like Formula One driving.
Well, hey, there's still risks involved. Let's be honest. There's still risks in the nightlife.
Yeah, drunk.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time out there. We know a few places like that around Indy. Are you going to be able to go to some of the American Formula One races? Obviously, you got COTA in October. Looking forward to Las Vegas next year, Miami.
Vegas, I will 1000% be at.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm excited about that one. Miami, I was a bit hesitant about going this year, honestly. I thought, like, first race in Miami, I thought this might be a bit of a shit show.
That's why I didn't go. Yeah.
Sounded like it was a bit of a shit show, according to quite a few people. I'm sure there was lots of people that really enjoyed it, but I mean, I didn't have quite as much faith in that one going smoothly.
No, I agree. So I think it's going to be awesome. But like, do you think, like, in Vegas, for example, right? I think that event is going to be, because like, you obviously do a lot of work in Las Vegas, and that city is just like it's never dead.
No,
seeing that spectacle will, I think, be something that is truly next level, but they are going to have to do so much in that city to make that happen as well.
Yeah. I haven't really, I have looked at the roads a couple of times and thought, how's this going to work?
Yeah.
Look, someone must have planned this out. There's got they can't be like, okay, right, we've done the paperwork now. So how are we going to do this? I'm sure this has all been plotted out. But yeah, I think as a spectacle, the Vegas shouldn't be topped. That should be the ultimate celebration.
I agree.
The scope for how mad that I feel like that city is, apart from the track, is built for this. So I'm very, very excited to do this and kind of be involved on the entertainment side of things as well.
Yeah, I hope there's
I'm frothing to have a party there.
I hope there's a Chris Lake after party that I will be attending for sure for the race.
We've been working on contracts for deals for the next couple of years. You can guarantee this has been one of the main points of the conversation. Oh, yeah. What am I doing over the Vegas Grand Prix weekend?
Yep. So, Friday, Saturday is definitely a good weekend.
Exactly.
To get into music as well a little bit, because like a lot of our listeners and stuff like that, we want to make sure that they know a little bit more about you as well. I mean, I've known you now for a few years through other musicians, through Joel, Deadmau5, and a couple other folks also. What you've been around actually for a while in this world as well. What brought you into it at first, and what do you think? What has kept you in it as well? Like, is it the passion for it? Is it how the technology that's going through the roof that's really making music truly an incredible process to make? Give us a little bit of background there.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what's kept me in it. How I got into it. I heard. I kind of got into music production before I kind of got into a specific style that I was producing for. But I got into music production when I was like 13 or 14. I moved to Scotland. I took music as one of my choices for like for high school. And in that class was a friend of mine who was making music on keyboards and synthesizers. And I saw this and I was just like, this is unbelievable. You can make your own, you can make your own music and make your own sounds. And that started like a pursuit of me learning about the technology and the possibilities of what could be done. And then around that time, I heard like house music, progressive house stuff. And I started making music like that. And then the hobby became like a serious hobby where the people started showing interest in my music. And then I turned it into a career, and I just haven't really stopped. Probably because I don't really know anything else. I've been doing this since I was a teenager. So, and over the years, I've got good at making people dance. And it's important. It is, but well, important might be a strong word, but it's definitely got its values. So it's nice. It's nice. Now we do these. We put on shows that we really try to make really special shows that people will remember, and it seems to be working. For the people that enjoy this kind of music and this type of thing, they love it. So, and that's quite addicting. So that's difficult to put down. That's difficult. No, that feels like it's difficult to kind of like just walk away from.
Was there ever a point where your folks, your mom and dad were kind of like, hey, music, I don't know, or were they always supportive of you?
I have to say that never happened. They were always 100% in supporting me, whatever I did. They've been great. On every, I was very lucky in that regard. I actually can't relate to not having been supported by my parents. I'm very lucky in that regard. So, but I obviously hear about it all the time and completely understand it. I'm honestly just surprised I'm surprised they supported me in this. It's like, it's so like, you're gonna do what?
Right.
It's just a whole.
You ever get them out to a show and get them, pumping?
Yeah, I mean, I've done that, but when I'm describing it when I'm a teenager, I mean, that's like I'm just describing a whole load of fuck all. It's like,
yeah.
This is anyway. But they supported me, and I'm very, very glad they did. So very thankful.
That's awesome. So of all the places that you've been, right? You've traveled the world. We interviewed Mac J a couple weeks ago, buddy of mine, Mackenzie Johnson, and he used to be a racing driver as well with me, and now he's in music. And where would you say would be your favorite place to play? Would it be? Because I've obviously never partied in Asia yet, but like it seems like they go hard, and like but I've obviously been in Vegas. And like I did New Year's with you this year, and like that was incredible. Like I've seen some incredible stuff. Where do you think is like the just like the energy is at maximum?
Weird. I don't know whether it's necessarily the absolute best party crowd, but one of the best places to visit overall in the whole scope of like the whole experience would be Japan. It's
okay, yeah,
unbelievable. The culture, the difference in culture from what we're used to as Westerners is it's a really enjoyable place to go to. They do have a lot of fun. The clubs are fantastic, and I just really enjoy it. I always leave there like, I can't wait to go back. It's like anywhere that I go to, that's the place where I'm like, I'd go back tomorrow. It's brilliant.
That's awesome. I've got one more for you, Frodo, for sure. So we're like, this music industry right now, I think is astounding. Like I love, the genre that you're involved in. I love that. I love everything about it. I love the parties. I love the venues. I love the lights, the technology that's involved, everything about it. Where do you see sort of this realm of music going next? Like what do you think is going to be the next level of immersive entertainment that is involved, with you and, let's say, production, whatever it is? What is that? Where is that next step for entertainment, you would say? It's a very broad question, but like it's interesting to me. I was like, what's next?
I've got some weird answers. I don't know how some people will take it, because it's like, it sounds really.
Bring them.
I have this one idea about where things will go. I don't know how realistic it's going to be, but it's like, I'm reading the room about where America's going. One thing that I've noticed has been, there's been certain things that have been getting legalized slowly.
Yeah.
Weed being one, mushrooms being the other. Mushrooms at the early stages. The way I see it, I wonder, I feel like there's going to be events that, like, it's almost going to merge, like it's almost going to become like the high-end restaurants. You go to a restaurant, you don't just order the food, you get it with a wine pairing. I feel like what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up going to events, and it's like, here we go, we've got the music, and now we've got your substance pairing, and so you're going to buy it as a package, but it's all controlled. I don't know how, like, it's not like something that happened right now, but I feel like there's going to be like this sort of like legal high kind of package
environment.
Environment. I think that will happen at some point. It'll be legal. But I think it's quite a way off.
Yeah.
I like it. It sounds safer. I got people who go to these music festivals and concerts, and not a lot of legislation going on there, but man, they're kind of throwing it around.
You know what? Actually, before you ask me that question, it's interesting you talk about that, because there's something that happens that's predominantly outlawed in America that I think is one of the biggest errors, one of the biggest errors that's made in America as a whole, and it's the attitude that I want to make it clear. I don't do drugs. I haven't drunk for like over 10 years. I'm a pretty boring ass DJ. I don't advocate for people to be, doing drugs or like being unsafe or anything. But I think it's completely unrealistic to think that nobody does it. And unfortunately, in legislation and like an attitude and governmental attitudes in America, it's encouraged to act as if none of it ever happens, and I think that's a real big safety error. Whereas you look in Europe, and there is the attitude of, okay, we're not looking to encourage this; it's illegal. But if you get drugs in, you've got the opportunity to have this stuff tested. We'll set up areas where you can actually test your drugs to make sure it's safe, to make sure it's not got things like fentanyl and stuff laced in it, so that if you are going to be doing this, we can try and make this as safe as possible. And then they also have like safe places to discard of drugs if you kind of like decide, okay, I don't want to take this. America makes that almost impossible to do, and that's terrible. And that really pisses me off. Anyway, you made me think about that, and it's like, I wish that would change. I was sat next to Marco Rubio on a plane the other day. I was thinking, fuck, I really want to have this conversation. I really actually want to have this exact conversation with him, but he didn't give me the time of day. So
that's a shame. Man.
It's supposed to be a man of the people too. Real quick, I just watched the Woodstock '99 Netflix documentary. What would be the DJ version of Woodstock? Does it exist? What is it?
The DJ version. Oh, I mean,
Tomorrowland.
I don't feel like I'm going to give a grand enough answer. I know Woodstock's really quite historical. It's one of those standout historical festivals, and obviously the attendances were huge. I haven't watched that documentary, but I want to watch it though. For dance music, in particular, I mean, I guess today's would be Tomorrowland. I guess that's like the
Makes
Tomorrowland.
sense.
Tomorrowland is a festival in Boom, Belgium, and it is monstrously huge. It's a crazy spectacle. It definitely attracts kind of like tourist fans. It's like it's a destination festival. People fly in from all around the world to go and see it, and it's kind of like everything's laid on in quite a Disneyland kind of way.
Oh yeah,
but it's fun. It's fun. It's very big. I don't know whether it really fully translates from like Woodstock, but it's big. It's a standout festival across the whole world. It's quite prestigious to play. So yeah, Tomorrowland.
It's on my bucket list. That's for sure. I definitely want to go at some point.
It's crazy. It is crazy. It's big. It's quite. It's like Disneyland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone loves going to Disney. So
yeah. Chris, I appreciate you coming to talk with us. I really do. I find it fascinating to talk to people who are very well established in their own worlds, but also have an appreciation for motorsport, because this is definitely a very, very motorsport oriented podcast, but we like to talk about everything too. So thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Do you know what? Let's talk about your whoop stat. The stats.
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding? I see your heart rate when you're racing that car. That's not normal.
It's hard. Actually, it's one of the most responded to things that I put on the internet, is like people are blown away that, first of all, that it tracks it that accurately. And honestly, I'm really impressed that it tracks that accurately, but yeah, like it's maximum attack all the time, like throughout the whole race.
I had a question for you. Okay, so I see that your heart rate hits like in the 180s. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, Michael, is that adrenaline? Is that adrenaline like heart pumping? Is it pumping at that speed because of adrenaline, or because of like fatigue? Because, and the reason I ask is because when I get my heart rate up to like 160, I'm feeling like I am literally going to peg it any second. 180 seems kind of like mildly physically impossible to me, and you're doing that non-stop. So does it feel the same as like when you're hitting those sort of heart rates when you're exercising, or does it feel different?
So it is different. Yeah. So I would say, doing research on this year, right, a lot of it's affected by heat as well. So my heart rate, if I'm averaging like 160 the whole time, that's way better for me, because it's cooler in the car. If my heart rate, like I could see it from Nashville over the weekend. My heart rate starts out averaging probably high 150s, 160. And as soon as my body gets overheated, straight to 180. And that's when it becomes a lot tougher. I noticed that my heart rate picks up almost 20 beats when I get overheated, and I overheat a lot, because like I'm an Irish fella. I overheat like crazy. But even like this morning at the gym, right? Like we were doing a lot of high intensity cardio circuit training. We go from the treadmill to the bike to the rower to the ski erg machine, and I always find it very difficult in the gym, but it's the same heart rate range, but it's just a different way of outputting. So I think a lot of the heart rate is the heat, it's the adrenaline, but you also got to remember that, like with our cars without power steering, it's very physically difficult as well what we're doing. So like we're putting a lot of effort out, like with our body, and like the hitting the brake pedal with a lot of
everything just to
core,
move everything.
Yeah. So like it's a full body workout, but also you have the adrenaline that just is at maximum. So I think a lot of it is adrenaline, but what I've noticed as well is it's very heat driven. Because if I went from race 1 at Iowa like 2 weeks ago, that video that like I posted the onboard of the short oval, like the day 1 to day 2, my cool shirt that we use in the car worked a little bit on day 1, but it worked really well on day 2. And my heart rate was almost cut in half, like from race 1 to race 2. So it's definitely temperature oriented as well as adrenaline for sure.
But regardless, it's pretty wild.
It's a good workout. I'm not gonna lie.
So what does it say? Well, like when you've I can't remember what it said about like the like the daily strain that you meant. I'm assuming you're fully at way past 100.
Well, you can only get to like 20.6 or whatever the number is. Like it doesn't really go to 20.7. Yeah, it's most race days are 20.6 or 20.7.
That's wild. Fair play to you. I'm going to go to the gym now. I'm going to make. I'm going to give it honestly. I'm going to give it an absolute solid.
Give it everything.
I'm going to give it my best 40% I've ever given.
And turn it up to 130 degrees in that room too.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Take it easy, Conor. I'll see you soon.
Incredible interview with Chris there. I hope people that listen to this show, might now know something more. I always thought that having this show would be a great opportunity to bring on some people that are wildly recognized across the world, but that they might not expect them to be race fans. And I think that's always really cool to see how much people respect our sport across the world of different professions. So really, really enjoyed talking to Chris there and appreciate his time for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, going into it, I was like, I've heard of Chris Lake, the artist and musician, but I wasn't too familiar. But then when you got into his thoughts on F1 and his thoughts on IndyCar and comparing the two, I thought it was very, very interesting. I thought he had a lot of great insight. I was not expecting for him to say that the Monaco GP is super boring and he doesn't really care to watch it or see it. It's like that gets hyped up that weekend where we have Monaco, the Indy 500, Coca-Cola 600. And, you think that everybody's going to defend theirs in their own way, right? Like we never say the Indy 500 is boring. I mean, that's our Super Bowl. That's it. Yeah. And for him to be like, I can miss that one. I did not expect that. So it's very, very interesting conversation. Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah. And now it kind of makes you want to party a little bit, but that we'll save that for the off season.
There you go.
For whatever's next.
You are partying a little bit on TikTok though, huh? You're a TikTok guy now. You gotta be dancing soon.
Well, I was sitting down in Los Angeles.
She got you
with my lady there, and she is she would be quite prominent on the TikTok, but she's also very smart, and so as a brand, it's probably important to have all of the social media things, all of it working for you.
Yes.
And she's got like 3 million TikTok followers, and I was like, okie dokie, well, that's a lot. And so I then joined a TikTok. I joined the TikTok. I don't know what it means. The community could not get Conor Daly 22. Some person obviously tried to get that early and probably wants me to pay him for it. But I went with Conor Daly Driver, which is I think that was a great name. I think it was solid. We were thinking Conor Daly _22, but I don't like underscores. So it was a process. I still have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to use it. I think the For You page, I keep swiping through those videos, and I don't. For me, what do you mean? I don't even know these people at all. And I don't know what's.
It's figuring you out, Conor. It's figuring you out. That's part of the process.
Look, it all seems like a big. I don't know. There's something going on there that there's so much sound. The app feels disorganized, but like someone's making more money than me at this thing. I see you on there all of a sudden pop up, and then there's a video, a bunch of dogs, and then I'm like, what? How did I get here? You know what I mean? Like I just IndyCar is. I follow IndyCar obviously, and they have a bunch of creatively captioned onboard videos, which I think is great. But it was an interesting journey into the TikTok, and I still don't understand it yet. But I did also hear that our fearless leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr., is also a TikTok guy now. So if he's doing it, I'm doing it.
Gotta be. Got to dive right in there. You can, hey man, it takes 1 or 2 videos, and all of a sudden it'll pop off. You'll get 1.2 million likes, and all of a sudden you have 150,000 followers on there, and it's great for the brand. It's great for you.
That's what I've heard.
It's great for the series. It's great for this show. It is.
Yeah, I'm going to figure out how to make these videos because, again, difficult for me. I think I'm not a tech guru. I'm not a wizard by any means. My computers upstairs are still broken for 2 months because I can't figure out how to fix them. They're not broken. I could probably just have someone over to fix it in like 2 minutes. But again, me, dumb, can't figure it out. But thankfully, my lady, she's on the TikTok scene. So she's like, oh yeah, I'll help you out with what's trending and you could take advantage of it or whatever. I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means, but sure. So we got some help on the branding side now. It's a team effort. We're out here trying to grow the sport. I have 4 bio lines. Obviously, Speed Street is in the bio, which is important.
Stop.
Big podcast guy. So yeah, it's a whole new world that I'm now a part of. And so I don't know what it means, but I'm gonna post videos and see what happens.
Love it. Good for you, man. Yeah, Conor Daily Driver on TikTok. I'm Joey Molinaro on TikTok. I'm assuming we're Neb, not lol.
You got it.
There it is. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Consistent branding there, Ben.
Hey,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. And for us, Speed Street is on Instagram and Twitter as of right now. So follow at Speed Street Pod. Nice little throw in there. We're close to 1,000 followers on Instagram. We're closing in. So go to Instagram, Speed Street Pod. Give us a follow. Love to get questions and get engaged with you guys on there. Before we get into the audience questions, I did want to talk to you, Conor, about our pal Christian Lundgaard Schmidsteinville Witz, who got an extension. We just saw last night with Rahal Letterman Lanigan having a strong rookie season in 2022, and he's going to stay with the RLL guys for a while.
Absolutely. Yeah. What I find the most hilarious thing about driver contracts these days, which seems to be like a thing now, is that everyone who is announcing a deal is like, it's for next year and beyond, as if like they're going to race on the moon. That's like, just tell us how many years it's for. But that's, everyone has a commitment issue, right? It's like, well, it's next year, but we put in like 10 clauses that we can get out of it if we want. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hilarious, the motorsport world, because again, in football, right? Like you have a deal and like, yes, there are always out clauses, I'm sure, but it's like, boom, here we go. You're getting paid for this many years for sure, at least, you know what I mean? But like racing, it's really hard to find those like 3-4 year deals, 2-year deals.
Yeah.
Like it's like, well, it's next year and then hopefully the next one and then maybe the next one after that, you know what I mean? So it's kind of funny, but Christian has had a really, really strong last few races. That team has certainly seemed to figure it out on his side of things. And even Graham, I mean, Graham's kind of always there no matter what. There's a lot going on around the Rahal team. Really interesting rumors that I heard as well for like more cars or a switching of things. But again, I don't know. Like, I don't know how that's possible, because
more cars to Letterman. So they go 4 or
well, maybe, or I don't know. Are they gonna, I think Jack Harvey's supposed to be in there for another year, but maybe they pull the McLaren witchcraft and kick him out. I don't know. I hope not, because I like Jack. But yeah, there's a lot swirling around. But to see Christian get some solid answers on what he's doing in the future is really cool. So he's done a great job, and he's obviously still a child, so he's got many, many years in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to talk too about this article on motorsport.com that came out yesterday about Christian Lundgaard and the extension that he just got, and some really interesting quotes from Christian regarding IndyCar, regarding America, regarding his time in Europe, Formula One. He comes right off the bat and says, Sebastian Vettel, 4-time F1 champ, could expect a tough transition to IndyCar. Just straight off the bat, calling out a champ, not calling him out, but just saying, "Hey, I've been there, I've been here. It's tough. It's tougher over here than you think."
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's the same as Kimi Räikkönen going to race in the Cup Series this weekend. He's not going to go in and win the race. Like, I'm sorry, this is professional motorsports. There's 3 head racing series of the world: Formula One, NASCAR, and IndyCar, right? And I think a lot of people can argue sports car racing. Yes, there's that as well, but it's not. There's the three top series. And any driver who goes from one to another, it's going to be hard at first, for sure. I mean, we see Grosjean, Ericsson's done a great job, but like everyone is not, everyone, there are really random I see Formula One Twitter all the time. I see these clowns that come over and say, oh, literally anyone in Formula One can go over and destroy everyone in IndyCar. It's like, that's literally the dumbest thing you could ever say in the world, because it's just not true. Like, we have evidence of it. You have your two-time, we literally see it. Like, we have a two-time world champion, Fernando Alonso, come over to try the Indy 500. Well, the guy didn't win all of them, didn't even make one of them. And he's really, really good. You have Roman Grosjean, who, again, there's, different opinions about him in Formula One. Obviously, he wasn't a world champion, but the guy was on the podium. The guy was scored a lot of points. And again, not dominating. And Marcus Ericsson, again, Formula One guy, probably didn't get the best run of things in Formula One because he never got to get out of, the bottom level teams. But again, he's not, is he running for a championship? Absolutely. So are 6 other people. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that I completely agree. If you brought Vettel over, which I don't think for one second he's going to come IndyCar racing. I think he is pretty happy being Vettel and he wants to be a family man, and I respect that. But if he does, awesome. But guess what? He's not going to win the championship first year, not going to win the championship second year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But it depends on who he's with, depends on what team. But yeah, I think it's great for Christian to say that. It's because I think he recognizes how difficult it is. Anyone who comes over to our side of the world immediately gets thrust into the pit of vipers, and it's hard to be successful in IndyCar.
Pit of vipers, dude. I need that on a t-shirt. That sounds awesome. The pit of vipers. A few quotes in this, again, on motorsport.com that I think really resonated with me as a fan. I'm sure you as a driver in the series. And I think it's really important that this kind of be blasted everywhere. He says, Lundgaard says, quote, excuse me, I don't think there's been much I haven't really liked about IndyCar so far. And he goes on to say, I think overall, like I've said many times now, when I moved over here and I've had the question, what's the difference about Europe and America? For me, it's about racing. It's more about racing than it is about politics. What I like about IndyCar is the feeling I have here is the feeling I got when I fell in love with go-karts. You put the car on the ground, you race, and you have fun. But you compete, and once the helmet's off, everyone is best buds. You don't see that in Europe. That is, my buddy Sam sent it to me, and he's like, that should be plastered everywhere for IndyCar. Huh. And it's hard not to agree. I mean, those quotes right there, what more can you say?
Yeah, I think it's a great community here. I think there's, again, I don't know a ton about the NASCAR community, but I know that a lot of those guys are really good friends as well. A lot of them are also enemies, but it's the same with us here. Some people that I don't enjoy racing with or hanging out with, but for the most part, you can have a pretty good time, with your friends, with your teammates, whatever it is here in IndyCar. And heck, I've invited Christian to a couple different events. I've tried to hang out with Christian. He doesn't hang out with me though. He hangs out with Indy 500 champion Marcus Ericsson. No big deal. I understand. But they're all North Side guys. You know what I mean? Everyone, all the drivers, I'm the only driver who lives downtown Indianapolis. All the rest of them live fancy, nice, high bougie lives at high class bougie lives in Carmel, Indiana.
I did. I was up in Carmel, Indiana, last week, and on the weekend off, I was able to catch up with Jack Harvey and his lovely girlfriend Gracie. We had a couple beverages, and they introduced me to Social Cantina. I don't know if you've ever been there or heard of that place, but the place is really good up there in Carmel. Really good. Oh,
yes.
Food. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't get to venture up there that much, but it sees like a nice place.
Yeah. No. So I thought it was, again, congrats to Christian. He's having a really, really strong rookie year. I think it's great, to have another strong young guy in the series, obviously. And those quotes I just felt was important to bring up. And again, for the listeners who are motorsport fans and whatnot, it's not so much trying to pit against each other. It's just standing up for the series that you're a part of and what you're passionate about. And that's what we do, we're an IndyCar centric podcast. So had to bring it up. Want to get your thoughts on them.
Exactly. No, I agree completely. And I'm excited to see what's next. It's hard to think of any other IndyCar, teams that are going to have news, but then you're like, wait, we still have a ton of news left. There's going to be who's
Right.
going to drive the 10 car, who's going to go where.
For sure.
I even think, like where does Felix go? Is Felix still in? Who's, does David Malukas move somewhere? There's a lot of talk on the streets. I can promise you that about where people are going to go. And we are not even close to, done with the silly season stuff.
Love it. Yeah. Silly season's fun, man. It really is. All right. Let's wrap up here we got a lot of questions, man. We appreciate you guys at Speed Street Pod. Again, a reminder on Instagram and Twitter. We usually like to do this, I don't know, once a month or something where we'll get the questions from the listeners. But let's start off and let's go with from AJ Hobson. We'll start. Favorite livery of all time. Mine is TK's 7-Eleven car. Who do you got? You start.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, the 7-Eleven car was so iconic. I think of several different liveries. The Miller Lite car, I believe that Bob Rahal drove back in the day. Any of the beer Indy cars were always really cool. Even I think Scott Dixon for a very brief time drove a Coors Light Indy car, which was a great looking car. It kind of looked like Sterling Marlin's NASCAR for a little bit. That was cool. I always thought Alex Barron's Rayovac car, it was very simple. Joey, this is probably before your IndyCar time, but Alex Barron was a young American driver when I was coming up, and I was a big fan of his. He drove a car sponsored by Rayovac that was really cool. I like that one. Basic but cool. I don't know. It's definitely hard to say. I liked my U.S. Air Force cars. I really did enjoy those.
Yeah,
but
those are sick.
Yeah, if we're talking all time, it's definitely hard to pick because there were so many cool cars back in the day. But also back in the day, a lot of those cars were fairly basic. Nowadays, I mean, the design and graphics can get so crazy that it's kind of a cool era to be a part of.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are kind of my initial thoughts on great liveries.
The two that stick out to me are one, selfishly, Marco's Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, great car.
Back in the day. Super
great
sick
car.
Just,
yes,
I mean, so cool. But really it starts and stops with the yellow submarine, the Pennzoil yellow. I mean, that's iconic, I mean,
yeah,
like
Johnny
it or love it or
Lightning.
hate it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just, golly, man, that's where it is. And we saw Scotty Mack drive it in this past year's 500. Just iconic,
Yeah, even the Johnny Lightning special way back in the day. If you're going way back now, yeah, there was a lot of really cool cars, and I mean, I could make you a list of 15.
Yeah. Maybe the off season, that'd be a good top 10 livery show. From A_Aronk. Conor, if you win at Gateway, will you please put on a WWE worthy celebration on stage?
Yeah, as I've said, I think before, anytime that we do win, we're gonna have the best time ever. And the best part about it is St. Louis is not too far from Indianapolis. So if we win, we're gonna get back to Indianapolis as soon as possible. And it's a Saturday night as well. So we're going to get right out onto the streets of Indy and have a great time. So we'll see. Gateway is one of my favorite tracks coming up. Love everything about that race. It's promoted well. It's always sold well in the past. And statistically, one of my best tracks. So I feel like we've been close to being on the podium there in the past couple times. It's been taken away from us strategically. But very, very excited for this. It's my first time racing here, actually, with Ed Carpenter racing as well. So that'll be a new experience for us as a team together.
This is truly one of the most wild Instagram names I've ever seen. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I'm not going to try, but they want to know, what are your expectations of the 9-car Highline practice?
So what's interesting? First of all, I really appreciate my engineer signing me up for it because I am always down for a session like that at Texas. A lot of us were a little bit reserved on doing that. I love Gateway. Happy to do that. I'm not entirely sure what it will do for us, the highline practice, because again, Gateway is a track where you can run too wide, but for the most part, you have to get a really good run, and you're not seeing a bunch of cars just go side by side in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and both the straight. Like it's not happening for multiple laps at a time. So, and then towards the end of that race as well, there's so many marbles up top.
Yeah.
So, will there be rubber up there for the first, 25, 30, 40 laps? Maybe, yeah, but that rubber is still going to get covered with marbles, after a while. So I think it might help the first 50 laps of the race. But anytime you put rubber up top on a racetrack, it's going to help us. So I think, I think it's a great idea. Might as well, right? Especially if you offer it up to people, give us an extra set of tires. I mean, I love doing more track time. So you can consider me very excited for it. And I'm actually quite surprised there's not more people that are signed up for it.
So you do that on Friday or Thursday?
Yes, Friday. Yeah, Friday. It's basically after qual. It's right before the last practice session.
Got it. I like this one. This is from Isaacson 867. Would it work having a triple header weekend with IndyCar, F1, and NASCAR Cup?
It'll never happen. Sadly, it'll never happen because the demands that Formula One have circuit wise, it would have to be on it'd have to be at COTA, or it would have to be at the Miami GP or even Indy, I guess, if Formula One would ever come back there. But it's it's a case of, it's an ego game. All three of the series are not going to want to work together, right? Like it's going to be, we need this. Well, we need that. Well, and then who's going to make the most money out of it? Well, we all want to make the most money out of it. When it comes to a series, you know what I mean? So I think, again, Formula One, as big as NASCAR is, Formula One is still the alpha when it comes to overall money, I would say. So yeah, I would love it. I think race nerd me, almost has like a brain explosion thinking about how cool that would be. But sadly it's never going to happen.
Yeah. I can't see Cup or F1. I mean, IndyCar would definitely, get the short end of the stick, but neither one of them want to be the undercard, Yeah. Can't see it just be a big pissing match there. You were just with this guy. It's from Aaron. You weren't with Aaron George, who asked, but yes, Danny Rick to the ECR 33 on road and street courses next year. Any insight? Breaking any news?
I think that'll be the last thing that you could expect. Daniel, yeah, there is. I think he'd honestly rather. I think he'd rather just hang out. Who knows? We'll see what he does. See what he ends up doing.
From Ryan Schick 13, what causes different tire wear between teams and cars when it's not due to driver management?
So that's a great question. And we talked about it a little bit after the Iowa race. The only area open for development in IndyCar is the dampers, right? So the dampers control the dampers are kind of the core of how you produce grip. And so if you're producing more grip efficiently through the damper, it also treats the tire better. And if you're not able to generate grip through the damper, through the chassis, the tire is essentially just scrubbing across the surface. If it's not gripping the surface, it's just going to slide. And so when it slides, it's obviously chafing itself. It's getting rid of rubber. So that's why you see, why we struggle with it. We struggle at every track that has an old surface with low grip or a track that wears the tires really aggressively. Our best tracks are the highest grip circuits where we don't see a lot of degradation. Indy, Barber, Indy GP, and hopefully St. Louis. I don't know, but that's kind of where we are better, because you can rely more on the aero, you can rely more on the tire grip because the track isn't as aggressive on it. So that's kind of where it is. There, other than that, IndyCar is a very equal series, right? We have the same chassis, we have the same wings. There's two different engines, but every team has a different philosophy when it comes to the damper program. And that's where teams differ.
From Hunter J. Carper, if you were stuck on a desert island with one fellow IndyCar driver, who would it be?
Scotty McLaughlin, for sure, because we'd have a great time, but also, we just have a great time.
That's true. Do you get concerned about, hey, if it's just you two, you want a little bit of privacy every now and then, right? You want a little bit of, hey, I need some me time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Right? But you know what? We could build a boat and we could get out of there real quick. Scott's, he's a smart guy. He's from the land down under. And it's one of those things. He's probably got, these Maori instincts. He's got these, he's got some smart boat building techniques maybe stored up in his brain somewhere, and I'll get the hammer out. We'll make it out of a tree branch, who knows, and we'll get out of there.
I like that. Scotty would be a really good pick. I'd say Rossi, because I feel like you can have that good time, but then you definitely know that he's going to want to be alone, and then you can get some time, right? So it's a kind of a nice balance for me, I think.
I think Alex would also Alex. That's sketchy. Well, it's sketchy though, because Alex would kill you eventually if you're not if he's not having a great time. He could easily be like, well, there ain't no laws in maritime scenes, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. If you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, ain't no laws out there. So guess what? You annoy him, dead.
Got it. That's a really good point. From Andrew Dawson, what's the process when looking for sponsors? Is it normal for an individual or a company to sponsor the entire team, such as BitNile?
This is our situation. Yeah, our situation is wildly unique. For years in my career, you hunt for the best sponsor you can find, a certain number. You need a certain number to make things happen. And until this year, I've never been able to have that full number. And this, Todd Alt and BitNile, everyone involved, Alzamend, Ernity, everyone that's a part of our group have fully embraced the IndyCar scene. And the thing about the 21 car on our team, right? That was always that car has always been, since Ed kind of moved to a 2-car team full time, that's been the team car, right? So any company that's been on that, whether it's been Auto Geek in the past or whatever it is, that's kind of Ed and his ownership group are, they're behind that one because that's the main guy. For a long time, that was their only full-time one driver. And previously it was a different driver on the road and street courses for the 20 than Ed would be in the 20 on the ovals. So now obviously we have, 2 full-time cars and a third one that's almost full-time. And it makes things a little bit different, and it's nice. It's incredible to have, a sponsor that has a network of companies that he can market. And that's why you see both Renus and my car, done up in BitNile, different colors, obviously, but all stemming from BitNile. And it's the dream scenario, honestly. It's a 1 in a million type scenario. You don't see many sponsors doing this. Obviously, you see Arrow at a very high level. We used to see Target, sponsoring 2 cars. But it's rare to have 2 cars kind of with the same sponsor, which is kind of cool. And it feels good to have brought it here.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Tip of the cap too. Last one here from Carson. Big question here. Would you 2 want to come to an Indiana wedding in October? Well, I'll start. I'll say, I love weddings. I love October weddings. I love October. I'll have a month old, but hey, I'm always down for a good time.
I just don't know. October's a busy one. I got October 6th. I got a charity kickball tournament for Corey LaJoy out in Charlotte. I think there's another race to be doing at some point. I don't know. We'll see. That's tough. I got a wedding to go to in a couple. My uncle's getting married in 2 weeks, and I'm excited for a wedding in a couple weeks.
There you go. Yeah, Carson, congrats to you guys. October's a great month for a wedding, especially in Indiana. Sounds like a great time, but Conor is busy as well. I do have a wedding on the 1st, and I'm going to Purdue's family day with my soon-to-be family of 3. on the 15th. So it's not one of those days. Maybe I can slide it in. Who knows? All right. Well, couldn't get to all of them because we're up against it, as they say in the radio business, as is. But of course, have to finish with the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week.
I believe this is the oldest. This is the furthest back in time that we've gone, which means that probably anyone who listens might not actually know any of these people in this race. And to be fair, now normally you can identify an Indy 500 winner, right? Like if you've heard of them before, but this race was won by Ray Keech, and I did not know that name, but that is not our random driver. Ray Keech is going to be one that I'm now going to remember for forever because he's an Indy 500 champion. But I went with the 20th place finisher, Herman Schurch.
What year?
Herman Schurch, 1929, a 1929 Indy 500. Herman Schurch, SCHS Church, essentially.
Okay.
I was born in 1903 in Switzerland. Swiss fella, Swiss American race car driver. And yeah, he only tried for 2 Indy 500s. And it says in 1929, it says his gas tank split. And I don't know what that means, but I assume it's bad. And then he retired from both, sadly, 1929 and 1931. The transmission broke on his 1931 machine. But yeah, Schurch excelled in big car racing, which was apparently like sprint car racing, where he won many races on the Eastern Circuit. He was killed in practice for a dirt track race at Legion Ascot Speedway in California. So RIP Schurch, he is in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame.
Yeah, got a Hall of Famer there. Nice. Always love a Hall of Famer. Rest in peace to him, the Swiss driver. I have been reading the Indy Split book.
Yeah.
So I've been gaining a lot of knowledge. I'm about 5 chapters in there, but a lot of history, a lot of drivers that I've seen on these lists that have been talked about. And so I'm becoming very knowledgeable. It's a very good book. If anybody wants to check it out, I highly suggest it, Connor. You too.
Quite an era.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's gone through all the way to the beginning with IMS, all the way through the 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm getting ready to go into the 80 chapter now. So very exciting stuff. Very, very interesting. But it's always good to gain more knowledge, especially about IndyCar and the history of it. All right. We're in St. Louis, or I guess Eastern Illinois, however you want to look at it this weekend. At Gateway, going to be a great time. Connor, looking forward to it. As always, stay safe. Bring home some hardware.
USA Network this weekend, by the way. We got to remember that. People do watch USA Network. NASCAR has been doing great on there. So if we get bad ratings on there again, it's purely because we don't market it. So we're trying our best. We're telling everyone it's on the USA Network. A little Saturday Night Thunder.
Saturday Night Thunder and the Pit of Vipers.
Yeah. The Pit of
out there in
Vipers.
St. Louis on the USA Network. Saturday night race. So no excuse. Get out there, have a fire, grill, have some drinks, watch some IndyCar. It's going to be great. Again, be sure to follow us at Speed Street Pod on Instagram. Let's get that up over 1,000 on Twitter as well. The video episode comes out the day after. The audio episode comes out on the Dirty Mo Media channel. So be sure to subscribe there for the video because we like to have fun. Some things that you don't see on there. I appreciate Chris Lake for joining us as well. This has been another episode of Speed Street, and we'll talk to you next week after St. Louis.